You want
We just want to welcome everybody to the living room.
Welcome to mi casa.
We don't do this every day, but this does happen naturally in our home often.
Yeah.
So we're happy to have you here and to share it with you. And
so I'm trying to text
excited.
Rob Peterson in California, who needs the link.
Okay, you do that. Do you want to?
So.
Are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah. Oh, is that the welcome? That's it.
Yeah, that's the welcome.
She has to be down by my hand.
Okay, this song is.
Wait, before we kick off, I want to say, hey, in the comments at the very top, there's a link pinned. It's the same thing that's on the bottom of the screen, but if you go to that link, you can download the lyrics and the chords to the song that we'll perform at the very end. If you've ever been over to our home for a live music night, we perform it every time, and we would love to have you sing along if you know it, or if you don't know it, we'd love for you to hear it and learn it, and the chords are there, so if you play guitar or piano, you can always play this video back and teach it to yourself and know it, because we love it. We sing it all the time. I don't think there's not a recording out in the world anywhere. So anyway, we'd love for you to know the song.
Yep.
Oh, she's going down
All right, so let me send this to Rob so he can join in.
So this song we're going to kick it off with, though, since we're coming from New York City, we're going to kick it off with one of Allison's originals.
YC.
Called I Heart NYC.
Yep.
All right.
So I wrote this song when I was 14. My family had been talking about doing this crazy thing of living on a sailboat. And they talk about doing crazy things all the time. But this time we were actually going to do it. And I was like, oh, shoot, we are actually leaving New York City. So I kind of wrote this song in tribute to my hometown. 1, 2, 3, 4. I live in a place where things can get a little crazy, like someone being stabbed with an umbrella. True story. And I kind of feel like I've been living, breathing, crying, loving, growing here for so long. And I know it's not perfect, but I heart NYC, the city that never sleeps, without 1,000 nightlights on to help guide our way through your streets tonight. I've got my roots deep under the sidewalk, and people come and go on. And even though they never stay here for very long, the least they could do is curb their dog. Yes, this place is kind of weird, but I heart NYC, city with millions of voices singing out into the night, and no two are quite alike tonight. I live in a place where things are always changing, new people, new things to try out. And I know the city pretty well, but I want to find out about other places in this world. Don't worry, I'll be back soon, 'cause I heart NYC. Even though I'm leaving you behind, I know that I will find nothing better than what I found with you tonight. NYC, the city that never sleeps, without 1,000 nightlights on to help guide our way through your streets tonight. Tonight.
And the crowd goes on.
Yes, I love that one. Thank you, Allison. Okay, go. Hey, Patty. Hey, Grandma. Hi, Melissa. Okay, next song, Karina, also an original.
So I was distracted. Did you announce that these are all songs?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
Allison, they talked about how Allison wrote that other one.
All right. Mom just said she was going to say something at the beginning.
I just want everyone to know this is your original material.
Yeah, I wrote this song a couple of years ago now about a boy who I never did anything with.
Wow.
Like
The
romantically.
nothing boy.
But I was pretty in love with him. Do you need the chords though?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fodder
Power.
for music. All right, love, you ready?
Okay.
Okay.
2 days straight, don't make me think this is fate. It's too easy, it's too easy. Round the bend, when do these thoughts end? Thoughts of you and of me too. It's easy to be bitter. It's easy to be scared. But I don't even have to look for you to know you're there. No more heartbreak and no more stupid. No more hiding before begun. I could live my whole life beside you. I could stand in the sun. Wading through trees, clotted green peonies, down the river, young and limber. Sleep so deep, lifeblood, heartbeat, now or never. I remember. It's easy to be bitter. It's easy to be scared. But I don't even have to look for you to know you're there. No more heartbreak and no more stupid. No more hiding before begun. I could live my whole life beside you. I could stand in the sun. And I feel close to you when I listen to the song you like. And I hope you're thinking of me too tonight. Don't you think that everything would turn out alright if you were here? It's easy to be bitter. It's easy to be scared. But I don't even have to look for you to know you're there. No more heartbreak and no more stupid. No more hiding before begun. I could live my whole life beside you. I could stand in the sun. No more heartbreak and no more stupid. No more hiding before begun. I could live my whole life beside you. I could stand in the sun. Woo!
All right.
Nice.
Good job.
SJ.
SJ on drums for the
Thank
first
you.
time.
That was awesome.
It smells like a birthday.
All right.
That was
Any
great.
comments we need to check in on before we get ready for the next one
All
here?
right.
Yeah.
Hey, great. Grandpa Len found us on Facebook. Facebook or YouTube, both places. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Candy. We love you. Thanks. Hey, Easton. Glad you're enjoying it.
Mr. E, good to see you, man. All right. So this is a song called From the Things You've Made.
Oh.
And we've been playing it for ourselves for years.
Yeah.
And so it's a song that I wrote for, it's probably for some show at some point. Anyway, it was for a show at some point, but now we just no show, just song. So. Lives in the ground there, you find and cut it out. Haul it down the mountain to the valley safe and sound. You chisel it just right there, cut it straight and square and true. Then you place it in the ground for a house for me and you. Sit down, rest, coming from the cold. You walk so far there, distance makes you old. Coming from outside there, or sit out in the shade. Comfort can be felt from the things you made. The rain falls from the sky there, it goes into a tree. Then you chop it down there and you set the roots free. You strip the boughs and bark there and run it through the mill. Then you have the planks of wood out of which you build. Sit down, rest, coming from the cold. You walk so far there, distance makes you old. Coming from outside there, or sit out in the shade. Comfort can be felt from the things you made. Comfort can be found from the things you made. Rain falls from the sky there, water seeps into the ground. The roots that still remain there are sleeping safe and sound. From out of what was cut down, a sprout begins to grow, and over time a tree there will stand again, I know. Sit down, rest, coming from the cold. You walk so far there, distance makes you old. Coming from outside there, or sit out in the shade. Comfort can be felt from the things you made. One more time, sit down, rest, coming from the cold. You walk so far there, distance makes you old. Coming from outside there, or sit out in the shade. Comfort can be felt from the things you made. Right. Really with the rock star moves. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We have fun singing that song. So now we're going to take a break from the music and turn it over to Miss Emily Orton herself, who's going to share some thoughts with us. And Orton kids, you can chill on the couch or you can grab a seat by the table.
Oh, yeah. Get comfy.
Get comfy.
So we got a message from somebody who's, we have this space here on Facebook, on YouTube, but also just the Awesome Factory website where you can link to classes. And somebody signed up for a class and they gave us this message that I want to stop being afraid and coming up with excuses. So I wanted to speak to that. I have a lot of feelings and thoughts about being afraid and fear, and actually we have this class called Love Your Life where I talk about 4 different levers that you can push when you're overcoming fear. But just to keep it really simple for now, I'm going to share one story, kind of a way of thinking about fear, and then one exercise that I do, that we do personally as a family that helps for us. So I was reading in this book by Liz Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love, but this book I was reading was called Big Magic. And she was writing about the creative process, any creative process, not that you're just like painting something, but some new idea that hasn't existed in your life before, you're now going to create it. And she gave this metaphor for fear as if you're going on a road trip and fear is personified. Oh, thanks, love. And so fear is going to go on this road trip with you because fear is always with you. But she says fear has to sit in the back seat. Fear is not allowed to touch the radio stations or pick the music that you listen to. And under no circumstances is fear allowed to touch the steering wheel. So I just love the idea of recognizing like, hey, fear is always going to be there. It's going to pop up, be a little noisier sometimes than others, but that doesn't mean that fear has to have a decision-making vote in the choices that you're making. And so one of the ways that we have kind of worked around that is reframing excuses. So what the woman had said was, I want to stop being afraid and coming up with excuses. We are so good at making excuses. Like, I know my brain, for one, is an excuse making machine. So what we do, we get all that raw material, all those excuses, and we flip it on its head and turn it into a reason. And here's how it has worked in our life. So for starters, when Eric first had the idea that he wanted to take sailing lessons, and it wasn't even really an idea for our whole family to do, but it turned out he needed some people in the class with him. So he was persuading me of why I should take this sailing class with him, even though I had a pretty solid deep water phobia that was like 35 years old. And I said, I don't want to take sailing lessons because I'm scared of deep water. That was my excuse. And he flipped it around and said, oh, you need to take sailing lessons so that you will always be out of the water. Like, that's why you have to learn how to sail, so that you never have to get in the water. And that did get me on the boat, but eventually I overcame my fear of deep water. I'm not going to tell that story here. I want to share a different one. Down the road, we were thinking about possibly living on a sailboat. As Allison said, we have a lot of big ideas and not all of them come to fruition, but that one was looking like it was actually going to happen when she wrote that wonderful song, I Heart NYC. And we had a bunch of excuses though, because we had these guys.
Hi.
We have 5 kids and we're like, you know what? That is a pretty good excuse not to chuck everything and go live on a sailboat for a year. And we have Lily.
Hi.
Extra special, extra chromosome. She has Down syndrome. It's easy to say, wow, you know what, we really can't do something like this because we have a child with special needs and we need, I don't know what, like structure or stability or something that we thought we couldn't provide if we moved out. But we did this little exercise and we turned it over and we said, you know what? We need to pick up and live on a sailboat because we have these 5 kids, and particularly because we have this one child who learns very best in concrete ways and through relationships and hands-on experiences. And anyway, we came up with a whole list of awesome things that could potentially happen if we went for it, and turning our excuse into a reason was super helpful. There's a bunch of other ones. I don't have to go through every single one with you. You can come up with some of your own. One of my friends used to always say, oh, well, we can't afford quality clothing because we don't have a lot of money. And she flipped it and said, we buy quality because that we can't afford to be throwing money away on clothes that won't last. And for me, my last one right now, I'm saying it in front of my whole family. I can't get to bed on time because if I don't stay up late, I won't get any time for myself. But I can flip it around and say, I got to get to bed on time so that I can wake up and have time for myself. So I dare you to try this on a small excuse and see how it works out for you. If you have some excuses already in mind and you know how to flip it, feel free to put them in the chats. And today we were saying, well, we can't have friends and family over and do a live music night in our living room because of COVID. But darn it, we flipped it around and said, you know what? Because of COVID, we got to have some friends and family over in our living room for a live music night. So we're happy to have you here.
All right, give it up for Mom. Mom's killing it. All right. Yeah, actually, this was, I've been talking about doing something like this for a while with Emily, saying like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? Like sometime we could like book a theater and do like invite all of our friends and make it kind of a big thing. And she basically said, well, you know, why do we need to wait for all that to happen when we could just do it right now from our living room? And I was like, well, we always wanted to call it the living room anyway. And so this was perfect to do it actually from our own living room. So Patty, Sharon, good to see you. Oh my goodness, I haven't heard from you in ages. I miss you. Also, thanks, Jesse. The lighting, actually the lights in the corners, we burnt out our old lamps, and one of our kids had the idea of taking an old globe and cutting them in half. So those lamp shades are a globe that has been sliced in half, and we just dropped IKEA lights into them. So thanks for that, Jesse. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to Rob Peterson and his family who are out in California who are tuning in. We were just on a trip with them. We did a sailing retreat in the Virgin Islands, and they were with us. And so they're our new best friends. Anyway, let's see who else we got here. Awesome. Good for you, Jared. Teach those kids. Okay, so I want to ask you guys a question. I want you to, Emily was talking a lot about excuses, turning excuses into reasons. I want to ask you to think back or to think about a dream that you've had from some point in your life. It could be from when you were a kid, like, hey, when I grow up, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be an astronaut or a teacher, or something that's not occupational at all, just something that you wanted to do. Like, hey, I want to write a book someday, or I want to travel to a certain place, or I want to learn how to play the harp.
Ride a unicycle.
Ride a unicycle. Is that one of your goals? Is that one of your dreams?
No, I just thought it was a good one.
Riding a harp while playing, riding a unicycle while playing the harp. Sounds like if our friend Josh Levine is on, that sounds like something that he would do. I challenge you to do that, Josh. Anyway, I want you to think about a dream that you've had that you might have given up on. And I want you to think about why, what, like Emily said, what are the reasons that you've given up on them? Because they're probably pretty good reasons. They're probably pretty legitimate. And Emily shared this quote with me many years ago, and I've loved it so much that I've just kept it with me. And this is what it says. It's by a woman named Mary Oliver, who was Pulitzer Prize winning, National Book Award winner. And she said, "Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" I'll say that again. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I'm going to come back to that. So for now, I want to talk to you about a dream that I had when I was young. When I was a teenager, I started to rock climb. I was about 14 years old, and I hung out with a bunch of guys who were rock climbers. And so I got into it, and I started to climb and loved it. I would, I was a good student, but I skipped school. And whenever I skipped school, it was because I was going rock climbing. And my mom kind of gave me permission because I was doing well enough in my classes that I could.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. Shout out to Mom.
Yay!
And so I would be like, hey, it's really nice weather. I'm going to bail and go climbing. And she would sanction this. So it was something that was really a big and important part of my life. And then I got older. I went off to college. I went on a mission, came home, and ended up getting married. And we had our first daughter pretty soon thereafter. And I got busy, like a lot of you guys might be. I was busy just trying to, initially it was get through school. And then it was trying to just pay for life and get through school. And then once I was out of school, it was just trying to pay for life. And then it was pay for life plus 2 kids. And then it was pay for life plus 3 kids. And we were in New York by this time. And it was my career and trying to just make things happen. And I didn't really go camping anymore. I didn't go climbing ever. Quite frankly, I was a little bit scared because I had a lot to live for. I had a lot to live for before, but now I had responsibilities that I wanted, responsibilities that I'd sought out. But I had the responsibility as a husband. I had the responsibility as a father and as a caretaker for my whole family. And so, plus I was in New York and there wasn't any really rock climbing that was close by anywhere. And we didn't have a car. That's true. Good point. Thank you. So it was even, the subways did not go past any cliffs that were climber friendly. Not yet. So anyway, the years started to tick by. First it was 5 years, and then it was 10 years, and then it was 15 years, and I got kind of heavier, and I got a little bit softer, and I had a desk job, and I'd ride the subway downtown. And anyway, I had some gear in my closet, and it just, a lot of my rock climbing gear got turned into stuff that is not so, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not that cool. Like, you know, your car breaks down and somebody comes to, you know, like we were, you know, we didn't have money, so I wasn't paying for a tow truck. I'd actually, like, somebody would drive their car over there, and with a piece of webbing from my climbing gear, I would strap my car to their car, and they would tow me home. And so a lot of my climbing gear got turned into embarrassing stuff like that, like a car tow. That's the word I was looking for. It was embarrassing. So anyway, after a while, I had always talked about Yosemite, because when I was sort of in my peak of climbing, I took what?
The peak of climbing, like an inadvertent dad joke.
So I took this trip to Yosemite when I was about 16. And we never went to Yosemite Valley because it was the summertime, it was hot, it was crowded. And so the guys, I was just sort of at the mercy of these older guys that were planning this trip and driving the car. And so we really just stayed up in Tuolumne Meadows, and they're all the big walls that you hear about, like Half Dome and El Capitan, were all down in the valley. And they were just sort of mythic to me. And I'd never been there. And then, like I said, this whole kind of decade and a half of life kind of got by. But I always talked about Yosemite. And finally, this was after we were home from the boat, living on the boat.
Right here.
And we were sitting in this living room right here.
Hi.
And I was talking about Yosemite again. And Sarah Jane, she said to me, "Where is this Yosemite that you keep talking about?" And I took one of these globes. It might have been this one that we cut in half. And I pointed, you know, I was like, "Oh, it's right here." And she looked at the globe and she's like, "Wait a second. You're telling me that Yosemite that you've been talking about for all these years is in our country and you've never been there?" And I was like, "Well, you know, like, I've been there. I just didn't go to like the valley. I didn't go to like the main part." But she's like,
Gosh.
"Seriously, it's in our country and you haven't been there." So at this point, I started to feel embarrassed because I had been talking about it a lot, but I hadn't been doing anything about it. It was my dream that I had given up on, but I hadn't really given up on it because clearly I kept talking about it. And I'll tell you something, when you talk about something and you don't do it, we all know what a credit score is, but there's another thing called a credibility score. And Rob knows this because we were just talking about this on the boat a couple weeks ago. When we don't do what we say we're going to do, our credibility score drops. We have low credibility with our colleagues at work. We have low credibility with our friends, our neighbors, our family. And most importantly, we have low credibility with ourselves. And in this particular area of my life, my credibility score was very low. And so I kind of felt called on the carpet, which was a good thing. And we were at a stage of life where, you know, I had a little bit of flexibility. We'd been back from the boat, and I'd kind of we'd gotten our financial footing again. And I was talking about this with Emily, and I realized that there were some very logical reasons why I wasn't doing this thing. And I explained, you know, like, if I go there, I'm out of shape. So I won't be able to climb anything that I'm proud of. I won't be able to enjoy myself because I'm soft. I'm out of practice. My technique is bad. All my gear is out of date. It's kind of obsolete. I don't have the right equipment to go and do it safely. And also, I don't really have anyone to climb with. Climbing, you have to have a partner for it to be safe. And so, you know, most of the time. So those were all of my very good reasons. You know, I'd had a job and all this stuff. And so, you know, time was, I was like, I don't want to go and waste all that time and money and come back feeling disappointed in myself. And I realized something important is that I didn't feel worthy of my own dream.
Oh, period.
I just felt like I would let myself down. And so I didn't go year after year after year because I'd been to California many times. I'd gone there for work. And I'd been climbing a couple times here and there, but that was only just a painful reminder of how out of shape and bad my technique was. And so Emily encouraged me to do something that we started to do on the boat. And this is something that I want to make sure, if you're taking notes or taking, written notes or mental notes, here's one to write down. Scout it out. And what do I mean when I say scout it out? When we would go to a new island, we would make a commitment that Emily and I would usually go to shore, and we would say, we're not going to spend any money. We're just going to go and we're going to find out where the groceries are. We're going to find out if they sell fuel, and if so, how much. We're going to see if there's a place we could do laundry, if we can get the internet. And we were just going to go and get information. Somebody mind closing that door since there's like cars honking out the window. Anyway, Emily encouraged me to. Oh, sorry. Our downstairs neighbors are honking it up.
Welcome to New York.
I don't know if you can hear that, but
they're probably watching on the live stream and just letting us know. Hey,
yeah, we have fans downstairs just honking their horns. So, okay. All right. I'll move it along. I don't want to take all day with this story. Anyway, Emily encouraged me to scout it out. And so I called a friend who worked for an airline. And I was like, hey, what are the chances that I could use a buddy pass to get to California? Because I was a little bit worried about the cost. And she said, yeah, sure. I was like, great. So now that excuse is out of the way. And Emily said, well, what if you took Allison with you as your climbing buddy? So you'd have somebody to climb with, because I'd climbed with her a little bit. And I checked back with my friend and she said, yeah, sure, I could get you 2 buddy passes. So that obstacle was removed. And then while we were, I was like, I should probably start getting in shape. And so we went up to the cliffs nearby called the Gunks, and we were climbing there, and we ran into these nice people who were climbing nearby, and they worked at REI, and we kind of hit it off. And they're like, hey, as they were leaving, like, you're so nice. We just want to give you this coupon. And I said thanks. And they're like, it's basically for, what was it, 40% off? 40% off your total order, like a family and friends discount. So like, whatever you need to get, you can get 40% off. I was like, dang. All of a sudden, all of my fears and my excuses were just getting knocked over one by one by one as soon as I decided that I was going to just scout it out. So I had a flight. Allison and I had flights. I got my gear, and then we just started to piece it together. We flew out there, and my big goal had been to climb El Capitan, the nose, which is sort of the most famous rock climbing route in the world. And my goal for this trip was not to climb anything, but simply to walk up to the base and touch it and figure out how Yosemite Valley worked, because I know that it's a crowded, complicated national park. And so that's what we did. We went there, and Allison and I spent the better part of 2 weeks just scouting it out, and I had enough gear. We did climb some. It was real cold. We went in November, and I tell you, high altitude nights in Yosemite Valley in November are chilly willy. So long story short, I proceeded to realize that there were things that I could change about my life, small things. I started to eat smaller portions with smaller utensils and smaller plates, and my parents roll their eyes every time I'm at their house and we sit down to a meal, and I go to the cupboard and I get a small bowl and a small plate and a small fork, because that's just how I do. And anyway, here's the principle of a scouting trip. You go out and you check it out, but you plan to not go very far. You don't plan to spend much money, and you plan to just come home as soon as you can and rest. And then your next scouting trip, you go out as far as you were the last time and maybe a little bit further, but that you come home and rest. And again, we talk about this in our Love Your Life course in more depth, but the idea is that you go out and you push your comfort zone, you come home, you rest, recover, think, learn, then go a little bit further out and then back and then further out and so on until you finally achieve your, until you're able to accomplish the thing that you've set out to do. And I'm very proud to say that 2 years ago in April, I did go back with the whole family, except Karina, who was in college. So she was with us in spirit in Utah. And I did climb El Cap. And there are a lot of steps that went along in the way. But I tell you, the power of a scouting trip, so now going back to this question, what is the dream that you have maybe let lapse or drift away or now feels unreasonable? A guy my age doesn't do that sort of thing, or a woman my age doesn't do that sort of thing, or a person in my circumstances doesn't do that, or whatever it is, whatever that condition or that excuse is, don't worry about solving it now. Just take a little scouting trip, learn about it, check it out, and maybe do what Emily talked about, where you take some of your excuses and you flip them and you turn them into reasons. And this is the question I want you to write down. Tell me, what is it that you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Thank you very much.
Let's make some music.
All right. So back to the music. This is a song by the Lumineers. They're one of our favorite bands. If you know the Lumineers, we invite you to sing along. We won't be able to hear you, but
you'll hear you.
But you'll hear you.
Yeah. Hear you.
That's true.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Where's my guitar? Can you hand that to me?
Wow.
So can you scooch the mic back over this way, Emily?
Yes. We got tech up the wazoo over
Tech
there.
two.
We'll be taking applications for our roadie internships. All right. So if you know the Lumineers, this is Ho Hey.
Oh, hey.
Ho Hey. Is that right, Lily?
Yes, Daddy.
Okay. Here we go.
All right.
Whoops. Got to spin this a little bit,
Daddy.
or else it's gonna flip over.
Whoa. He's almost coming.
All right. Ho! Hey! I've been trying to do it right. I've been living the lonely life. I've been sleeping here instead. I've been sleeping in my bed. Sleeping in my bed. So show me, family, all the blood that I will bleed. I don't know where I belong. I don't know where I went wrong, but I can write a song. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. Hey! Ho! Hey! I don't think you're right for him. Think of what it might have been if you took a bus to Chinatown. You'd be standing on Canal and Bowery. You'd be standing next to me. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. 'Cause love, we need it now. Let's hope for some. 'Cause oh, we're bleeding now. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweetheart. I belong with you, you belong with me, you're my sweet ho. Hey! Ho! Hey! Egg shaker drop, little egg shaker drop. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna tee up Jane here because I'm super proud of her. She has written her first song ever. And I think she wrote it just 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Bless.
And we're like, hey, we're going to do this thing. What if you performed it live for the world? And she was game. So anyway, I'm super proud of her. This is Sarah Jane's brand new first world premiere debut song. And it's called
Bliss.
Bless.
All right, snuggle up to the mic.
What's my name?
Cozy.
You want to play that?
Cozy up.
Lily? Cool.
Okay. Let me take this off. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Concrete girl, what are you running from? Skyscraper lady, what is it that you want? I imagine the will be's, the soon to be's, the could be's, and the what ifs in my future. Maybe I'm an optimist, but this looks like bliss. I want a dirt bag, a beach bum of a boy, a vagabond to bond with, that's the type that brings me joy. Maybe I'm an optimist, but this looks like bliss. I've walked the streets of Athens and Rome. I've been roaming through these time zones, just trying to get close to you. I want a dirt bag, a beach bum of a boy, a vagabond to bond with, that's the type that brings me joy. Maybe I'm an optimist, but this looks like bliss. On the move, on the road, tell me where to go. Show me on the map just where it is you're at. I'll sail a boat across the sea. Boy, I don't even know how to sail, but for you I'm willing to be gutsy. I want a dirt bag, a beach bum of a boy, a vagabond to bond with, that's the type that brings me joy. Maybe I'm an optimist, but this looks like bliss. I want a dirt bag, a beach bum of a boy, a vagabond to bond with, that's the type that brings me joy. Maybe I'm an optimist, but this looks like bliss.
Yeah!
All right. Woo!
Hey, you did it.
Nice.
This cannot be undone.
Cannot be undone.
Cannot be undone.
Okay.
No matter how hard you try.
Lily cannot be undone. Eli, do you mind hanging that up for me?
Yes.
All right, so, okay.
Thank you all for SJ.
All right.
Good
What do
job, SJ.
Hey, thanks, Patty. Yes, didn't she do a great job? Okay, so here's the deal. I should have given you guys a heads up, but part of this is, although we're not all together in our house like we normally are for live music night, and this is
We're all together.
we're all together, but
We're not always.
yeah. So normally on a live music night, we just play and everyone takes a turn, and we usually don't talk and tell stories like we did, but you know, we only have so many songs. Actually, we could play for hours, but
That's not
we
true. have
we
way more songs. You guys know.
but we just didn't have time to rehearse them all. But we want to hear from you, and so we can do this one of two ways. We want to, if you have a question, throw it in the comments. It can be a question for me and Emily. It can be a question for the kids. It can be something that you know the answer to and you just want to stump us. This can be any kind of question, but we want to just have a little bit of a dialogue with you. And so while you're thinking of your questions, while you're typing them in, I just want to encourage anyone that's come late. I took the link down. Actually, I'm going to throw it back up.
Black. Ow. As long as you can start it after.
There we go. Okay, so if you will go to that link, then there's a song that we're going to perform at the end. It's one of our family songs called Harvest Time. You can type in that link that you see there at the bottom, but you can also go to the very top of the comments and click on the link. Basically, that will take you to a little page where you can get on our email list, and that will let us send you the lyric sheets to Harvest Time. And that way you can sing along with us. Again, if you know the song, if not, you can just listen to it. And then in the live chat, it will be recorded. So you can practice it and play it yourself on the guitar or piano or whatever. So anyway, go find that. Emily, if you click in the top right, you can hit the comments, and we'll see if there are any questions that have come in. Over one more. There you go. Yeah. So let's see if there are any questions. If not, our kids might just start asking us questions, which
You did this.
we did this for. Oh, this?
No, it's just the question.
Okay. All right. Who's going to be brave?
All right, Lily is the star.
Oh boy, Lily.
No, she's the camera hog.
Who's your favorite child? Roman says,
No.
"This has been a perfect way to spend a study break. I'm going to take your advice to heart and stop making excuses and get back to work." Hey, thanks for coming. Special shout out to
Cheers.
Allison in
Yay.
Japanese.
Ooh.
You can maybe read what it says.
So there's
Good
the
luck with your schoolwork.
Woo!
Let's get puppy.
Let's get connected. Let's get rich.
Joan
Okay,
Shibai.
oh, okay.
お世話してますよ.
Throwing out the Japanese. Okay, all right. So Jenny's question is, what is your next goal? Okay. Actually,
Who wants to answer it?
in absence of clarity, we're gonna ask each person what their next goal is. How's that?
That's what I'm gonna
What's your next goal, Lily?
I know.
To be a public speaker? Oh no, you've already done that.
She wants to meet.
Oh,
You want to meet all the guys in what band?
One Direction.
She wants to meet all the guys in One Direction. That's her goal.
But she wants to meet the 16-year-old version of them.
That's me.
That's the one she's in love with.
You might have
That's
to
a bit
invent time
problematic now,
travel.
isn't it? Thank you. No.
All right. Should we go youngest to oldest?
Yeah. Youngest. Just kidding now.
Eli, why don't you share your next goal?
Me, my next goal.
I think it's the one you're working on right now.
I was gonna say I have so many, but
Oh my gosh. Am
I'll say one of them, which is I want to create an animated series. I'm trying to go into more detail.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, just like animated series, but it's based on characters that you've created, right?
It is based on characters that I've created, yes. And
actually, you told me recently you want to do a thing called it starts with a P,
a pilot of some kind.
Yeah. A pilot episode for his animated series. All right, cool.
Well,
All right. What's that?
Nothing.
You guys did the whole clap at the same time.
Oh, whole
Okay,
clap.
clap.
All right, chainers.
All right, that's me.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
My next two main goals are to go out on a mission and live in a van and go on a surf trip.
Awesome. Actually, I should clarify in Sarah Jane's song when she says, "I want a dirt bag," you have to know that a dirt bag is actually usually rock climbers who live in their van are referred to as dirt bags.
Purists.
And they're sort of held in high regard in our home. And it's just, people who are happy to live without much and just sort of, they spend most of their time outside of their van, but people who are global travelers and
Responsible and resourceful, but they don't own a house.
responsible and resourceful and don't own a house. So
It seems like
Tamara
asked, "What's the story behind Sarah Jane's song?" So maybe this is a good time to.
Oh yeah. What is the story
oh
behind
yeah,
the
good
song?
question.
I guess I should come back up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just easier to hear.
Take your seat.
I guess it's just my type, and I've dated a couple guys, and it's like, oh, I like them, and I had like a breakup with one of them recently, which is fine. But I was like imagining, because I was like, this person's so great, but the person I'm going to be with is better. What would make it better? And I was like, someone who can travel and like isn't tied to one country and is just comfortable with that sort of stuff. And so I was already into that, but I was like, oh, that would make it so much better. So that's kind of what it came from.
All that and
All this, but then let's live in a van together.
Perfect guy in a van.
Yes,
Awesome.
in a van.
Cool. All right, Alisama.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, right now my short-term goal is to pass all my classes because I'm doing BYU Hawaii online. And then kind of a more long-term goal is I have a business idea that I'm working on, and then I have another business idea that I'm like kind of working on slowly in the background, while I do this first business idea.
Wow, that's so vague.
It is so vague. But in order to start this business, basically my next tangible step is I want to create a YouTube channel in Japanese where I'll be like giving just like English lessons, or like, here's how you create an effective language study plan. These are some things about American culture, like American body language, because the first company I want to make is to like help Japanese people really learn English effectively, because I feel like sometimes that can be a bit of a struggle. And yeah.
Cool.
End scene.
And while Karina's coming up, I just want to shout out to Annie Poon. Her dream is to send her portfolio to her dream client.
Yes.
You should do it.
Annie's one of Karina's art partners.
I have a bunch of goals I'm constantly working on. I think a more emotional goal I'm working on is to be better at receiving, because it's something I struggle with, like receiving help / love from other people. But this is something I haven't spent a lot of time like planning out, but I really want to move to England this year. And I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out or when. I also know like I've been waiting for updated visa rules, since they said on their website this will be clarified by the end of 2020, and I was like, it's November of 2020. Are you going to give me an update? But yeah, I want to move to England. I really like Cornwall, and so it'd be cool to live there. If you hear of any people who have cool opportunities or something, I would be down.
Nice. I think you're next, Emma.
Okay. I have so many different goals, and I really appreciated Karina sharing one that's a little bit less concrete. Like, how do you decide when you're better at receiving love? Like, I love those kind of character goals that have no real finish date. But the thing that I want to share with you guys is that I am exploring being an entrepreneur this year, and I'm really excited to start a business with Eric. We started the Awesome Factory, ironically, so that we wouldn't have to work together so much, but then it turned out to actually be the opposite of us not just working together more, but like bringing the whole family on board to do fun things together. So I would like to turn that into a real business that
For real.
for real. Okay.
For real.
All right. So, yeah, so I would say that one of my goals is the same as Emily's, because we are working on the Oh, we got muted there. Okay. All right. So hopefully we're back on. Maybe someone give us a thumbs up in the comments if you can hear us. We're on the home stretch here. We're going to wrap up.
Says she can't hear, and they all say we lost audio.
Oh, no.
Sound out.
This is why we need to learn sign language.
We appear to be experiencing some technical difficulties.
Okay. Is that better? Hopefully that's better. It looks like
Hear
you
now.
can hear. Okay, cool. All right. Thank you.
All
All right, cool. So, like Emily with the Awesome Factory, which you're welcome to go check it out. This is not like trying to be a plug for the Awesome Factory, but
This is just for fun.
this is just for fun. But the awesomefactory.nyc is our site. It's still very much a work in progress. We're working with some amazing people. Christy Lawrence is on. We're thrilled to be teaming up with her and so many others. And so we're just learning a lot and trying to make some things happen there. The other is going back to what I was saying about scouting trips. SJ and I, right before coronavirus hit, oh, sorry to leave you hanging. We took a scouting trip to Patagonia because, again, same thing. There's an even bigger rock in Chile that I wanted to climb. And I felt
What's your dream? A rock.
Climb the rock.
So I was super intimidated to climb it. And Emily again said, just go scout it out. And so the whole purpose of the trip was just to get there and get to the base of the cliff, not even try and climb it. And
And that was really good because there you found out all kinds of information you would not know any other way.
we learned a lot. So it's called Torres del Paine, and it's in the Torres del Paine. It's actually Torre Central and Torres del Paine in Chile. Anyway, so that was a great trip for me. I hadn't been back to Chile in like 30 years. Anyway, so that climbing and the business, the Awesome Factory. So thanks for asking. Just want to make sure there were no other questions that were missing.
Chrissy asked what your next adventures with same thing.
Okay, yeah, I think hopefully we've answered that. So why don't you hand me the guitar? We're now going to sing Harvest Time. So if you have the lyric sheet, you can look at it on your screen or print it out. And even if you only just kind of catch on to the chorus, I'm going to invite all the Ortons up here. And this will be the last thing, and then we'll be done. So thank you so much for joining us for our first living room. Who knows if there will be a second? This is actually its own scouting trip. We're just trying it out for funsies. So thanks for joining us. And this is Harvest Time, which is a song I wrote years ago, and we've just been singing it as a family for a long time, and we're thrilled to share it with you. So here we go. Fields are cut and the silos full. The oven's warm with flour, salt, and corn. The barn is closed. Livestock's inside. Cream's on top. And the milk is on ice. Mending's done, and the iron's cooled, elbows patched in colors that don't quite match. There's some thread and a thimble worn, but our heads are up as we walk out the door. Seasons come and seasons go. Things grow up and then they go. Seeds and song, sunshine and rain, giving thanks. It's harvest time. Down through the roof, the water leaks, though nothing's said. We walk out to the shed to get some nails and a shingle board, once in their place. Our room's the driest space. Seasons come and seasons go. Things grow up and then they go. Seeds and soil, sunshine and rain, giving thanks. It's harvest time. We are here and they are there. They've all moved on, and this earth feels so bare. What we know we cannot see, but we'll plant again, just you and me. Seasons come and seasons go. Things grow up and then they go. Seeds and soil, sunshine and rain, giving thanks. It's harvest time. Seasons come and seasons go. Things grow up and then they go. Seeds and soil, sunshine and rain, giving thanks. It's harvest time. Water drive. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the living room, from our living room to yours. We believe that when you live a life you love, everybody wins. Hey, before I drop it off, I'm just going to put you guys' animation up for a quick second so you can see that. Oh, because it's so awesome.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Patty.
Thanks, Patty.
Woo!
I want to see who's on here.
Kathleen Peterson just sent us a text. Looks like it's a picture.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
We love you all. Thanks, Jesse.
Mwah.
Thanks, Jesse.
Bye.
Thanks, Jenny.
All right. I don't know if Will's on this call or not.
Oh my gosh, Will.
They could cross our minds.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
See y'all.
Bye. Wow.